نعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم من همزه ونفخه ونفثه بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين Ameen. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, all praise and honor is due to Allah, whom is the Lord, cherisher, and sustainer of all the worlds. He's the most gracious and He's the most merciful. He is the master of the day of judgment. Thee alone do we worship, and thine aid do we seek. Show us the straight way, the way of those on whom thou hast bestowed thy grace, those who have not incurred thy displeasure, and those who go not astray. Ameen. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasulullah wa ashhadu anna aliyun wasi'u wa rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wa khalifatun bila fasil. I bear witness that nothing has the right to be worshipped except Allah, who is unique and who has no associates. And I further bear witness that the Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his servant, slave, and messenger. I bear witness that the Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam is the guardian Imam, and that he is the wasi, is the successor to the Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Peace and blessings be upon the Holy Prophet Muhammad, all of the messengers, all of the prophets, all of the saints, all of the precious Sahabas, the companions who have propelled and pushed the as it is today. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the students, and we thank him for the ulama who has kept his deen together until now. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for everything that He's given us. The drive to continue to push for sovereignty, to continue to push against a system, a legal system in which has us in chattel bondage. And inshallah, I have brought you tonight to a different chamber. And in this chamber, my holy name and my sacred and sovereign name is Imam Mahdi Fazail Akbar. And as I've stated to you before, and I will continue, my name in the United States courts, or district federal courts, I should say, in the Northern District of Illinois as well as the Southern District of Illinois, I am titled as Sejurist Fizel versus the United States of America, as well as versus the Lisa, or as sometimes termed as, I told you before, the Mona Lisa. I want to greet all of you in the most beautiful and divine Arabic language with the holy words of peace. We say as Muslims throughout the world, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace, His blessings, His love, and His grace, and His guidance be upon all of you. And may His blessings and His love and His sovereignty encompass all of you on a daily basis. Ameen. 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 Tonight I had a more secretive conversation for you tonight. You find me in the basement, or at the bottom of the temple of Phuket. This is the real dark room. This is the room of development. And in this particular sanctuary, certain things are revealed and certain things are talked about. Me as a grand master builder, I have the authority to speak on certain things that many other people may not have the authority to speak upon. I am blessed. And I am blessed to be the one to be able to bring these kind of topics and issues before the world. I want to thank all the people who support me on Facebook, who support me on Instagram, Twitter, as well as YouTube, and all of the technology that we find. I just had a celebration yesterday for reaching a certain amount of individuals who liked what I was bringing to them. And I want to thank all of you so very much. You assist me, you've donated, and you propel me to move forward and push harder and harder as we continue to fight legally against the chattel slave system here in the United States of America. I do want to say clearly that this has nothing to do with violence. This has nothing to do with terrorism. This has nothing to do with hatred. But this has everything to do with being liberated and free from the bondage and the oppression of the slave master. There's nothing X about the Caucasian slave master who rules us today in the United States of America, in its court system, as well as in its jurisdiction. I do want to say to all of you that in this study, try to pay attention to everything that is being said. Because in many cases, most things will be said one time. As I sit or stand before you in the base of the Temple of Khuket, at the bottom where the Kundalini resides, the serpentine spirit resides. This is a place where 3.5 mass of coiled up energy exist. And once the 3.5 mass of coiled up energy is released properly, then one could rise to power to the top of the Temple of Khuket. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as well as the gods and the goddesses, for leaving us this knowledge of self, the Siyatun Janatni. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us to have strength and power to bring it before the masses in the world. I thank you so very much for promoting what we need as a people. I thank you for backing me up, all of you who do so. But what I was asked today by certain special members of the sovereign, indigenous, Invincible Revolution, as well as the Rise to Power, I was asked to read the documents that I have put before the courts to the masses, in order for the masses to get some sense of what is going on, and so that you can be able to decipher certain things for yourself. And this is what the base of the temple is all about. This is a place where you start to think. The initiative, or the student, has to start as an apprentice at the base of the temple. So I come back down to the base, and I talk to you in the base of the temple. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us all guidance. This is one of the major chambers in which we can deliver the documents and bring them before you, because we understand that we delivered this entire agenda before the court system under the terms, the document of sovereignty, document 44.4 USA. And as I once told you, that USA does not mean the United States of America. It means unlimited self-administration. It belongs to the seal, the flag, and an emblem that you have often seen behind me at the top of the temple. This is very important to understand the approach that I am bringing to you. There's a science to everything that's going on around us. Somebody have to bring this to you. I am just termed as a black messiah that is ready to bring it before you before we bring it out to the world. Because I'm coming. I'm coming out to the world, and the world will begin to know who I am on the behalf of the sovereign, native, indigenous, invincible people, as well as the revolution. Inshallah, Allah willing. In this particular document that I want to show you, I presented it before the court, as I once told you, in the legal omnibus motion. Now, what did I explain to you when I said the legal omnibus motion? I explained something to you before. The legal omnibus motion or omnibus motion is a motion that is legally crafted and drafted to address every issue that we may have when it comes to not only just chattel slavery in the United States as well as in the government, but other topics you will find that I began to address and they're already in the courtroom. This is what omnibus or omnibus mean that you can bring several topics into the courtroom, not just one. And if that is accepted, then what the judge is giving you the right to do is he or she has granted for you to be able to expound on several issues before the bar. That is an honorable position. That is the position that I have found myself in. This is very, very important that we understand the protocol of the courtroom. Me as being Sejurist, I deal with several court issues when it comes to the Islamic jurisprudence in Islam. You would find me as a judge. And I have to judge certain issues based upon the Quran, the Holy Quran, the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad, the ways of the Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the ahadith, the sayings of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as well as the fiqh, the jurisprudence or the laws and rules and regulations in which we have to go and abide by as Muslims throughout this world. This is essential that we learn the law. So in this particular case number 118 CV 06807 is document 1 file 10918. And pages 1 of 31 was addressed. It is in the United States District Court for the Northern District of Illinois. The secretary or the clerk name is Thomas G. Bruton, the clerk of the United States Court. This document was received on 10/9/2018. So all of this is recent work that I have put in the courtroom so graciously. And what it does is that it gives us the opportunity to come together and address this issue as one. This is even a result of a class action lawsuit, if in fact that not only the people that I already have on it, if I can wake up the masses to understand that what I'm actually doing is on the behalf of all of you who are native here in the United States of America, not America. So this is a development into a class action lawsuit that it will begin to bring many, many people involved with. There's many involved with it already that's sending me news and mail and things of that nature that wants to know more and get involved. You need to get involved. You need to know what's going on around you. The world has changed. And whether or not you have made the adjustment or not, it does not matter. The world has changed. You are now in the executive new world order. This is the fifth new world order if you keep up with the dynamics of what has taken place throughout this universe and this world. Many worlds have been what? Dethroned. Many worlds have went down. And many has resurrected. Many people have went down. And many has resurrected. You are a special people. You are a chosen people to deal with this matter that we face today. So do I need your support and help and your love and your guidance? Absolutely. I'm a part of you. Just as well as you need for me, as a sister or two said on Messenger today, brother, please keep doing what you're doing. Because ain't nobody else coming before us demonstrating the way you demonstrate. I said, all praise be to Allah, sister. I said, I sure will. Because ain't no beginning and no end to me. So I sure will. It's just my assignment. You begin to meet people who were yearning to see an anointed one come along to address some things that needs to be addressed on the behalf of the poor, the sick, the suffering, the indigenous people. So in this particular document, as you may see, the first part of this document, it is a document that is already in the United States court system. You see right there? You see right there? That's the number system. That is the general case file number that it's under. And I just told you it's 118 CV 06807. I said that to you. And this is Judge, who? Paul Meyer. And the magistrate judge is Judge Cox. This is already inside of the court system, being set up to be dealt with. I have done it, and I have done it not only on the behalf of me, I have done it on the behalf of you. We need back our land, air, and our water. We need back some resources. We need back our wealth. We need back our finances. We need back our domicile. We need back our home. We are a nation that's inside of a nation who is ruling. And it has to be addressed on an intellectual level, on a knowledge level, on a legal level. It has to be addressed. Now, I talked to you once before about whom, in fact, are the nucleus in which I am going against. And I said to you that it's a juris fiscal. The document number is document 44.4 USA. Operation Amir. Operation 0.0001%. This is real. This deals with a new empire that is emerging from the waters of the Nile. The sovereign united empire of Amexem. We're emerging, man, and we're coming right at you. We have certain things that we need to be doing and developing, and we are doing that as I speak. We're working hard, man. But it's a great thing to do because we got babies that's coming up under this rule. Our babies can't be slaves. So the support that you have given and the love that you've shown, a great amount of love. This topic, chattel slavery, is something that most of you is really waiting on. I'll be honest with you. See, chattel slavery is a collective issue. It's a general issue. It is an issue that transcends religion, your faith, or anything of that nature right now. So what needs to take place is that the Muslim, the God, the 5%er, the Nation of Islam, the Moor, the Christian, the Jew, the Hebrew Israelite, and those who do not even have a faith, but you are native and you are indigenous, you from this land. This is your issue. So this is not about religion. I tell a lot of brothers and sisters right now, this is not about religion, but it is about addressing our nationality as well as our creed that has been the 2/5 that this government and its jurisdiction in its courtroom has taken away from us and classified us as 3/5 of all other people. So it is, but then it is not when it comes to us unifying and momentarily transcending not our faith or what we believe in, but you got to see past that. And I challenge anyone that if their faith or their practice or their deen or their belief system is not allowing them to see that there's a nationalistic issue that's involved here as a native people, then you may be practicing the wrong religion. You may be practicing the wrong deen, because what that religion and deen has done has watered down the nationalistic perspective that exists in your life but you're just not aware of it. So they've removed nationalism out of your religion, and they've told you to look past that and just practice the religion, while they have taken away your land, your air, and your water. So you don't think about lineage. You don't think about bloodline. You don't think about being an heir to the throne of where I come from with my ancestors and where I am today. You don't even think about that because you're so heavenly minded, you know earthly good. Let me say that again. You're so heavenly minded, you know earthly good. That means that you're all right with the way of things happening today. You're okay with that. But there are many of us who are not okay with that. We have the right to address the issues on the earth as khilafas, chiefs of the earth, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put us on the earth to get the earth in order. The earth is crying out for who? For the God and the goddess to step up and take care so it can feed you once again. Where's the rightful owner to it? This is when you begin to get to understand that you come from obligors. You come from owners. And this is what I'm going to keep driving into you. Ownership, man. We're owners of this beautiful continent, which is called Amexem, which is called Alakibulin, which is called Kemet. I'll keep saying these names to constantly remind you why I have your attention. So what is the nucleus that I talked about, whom has captured everything that we have and built their own corporations off of it? Who are these people? That in many cases, if you recognize you have a right to what they have earned off the backs in the blood and the sweat and tears of our ancestors through physical bondage and slavery, as well as they transcended and went on through a transition into chattel slavery. You got to understand me. I make this stuff clear to you. It's a crystal, man. It's a crystal. It's nothing difficult about what I'm saying. I got it and I'm able to give it to you by the will of Allah. That's how I know it's perfectly planned. It's our time. It's our moment. It's our time to rise to power. So the nucleus that I told you about or talked to you about is a nucleus that deals with federal corporations that's connected to state corporations. And the nucleus has to be built just like that. You have to address that because there is sovereign immunity that exists within the corporate sovereign entity or personnel that is ruling these agencies. So you really can't touch them unless you go through the court of law and pull some of that immunity, that sovereign immunity from them, such as I am doing. In other words, then it's going to turn into violence, and we're not talking about that. I'm not talking to you about that. That's easy for us. The streets is easy for us at any time. I'm talking to you about through thought activity, we're going to get it anyway. So what is the nucleus? I talked to you once before that it is Sejuris Fizel versus the Lisa, the Mona Lisa, or ETAL, the incorporated companies that surround it, that is connected to it, as well as Sejuris Fizel versus the United States of America, ETAL, which are the corporations that is connected to it. What are the corporations, the main corporations that we find that are actually connected to this entity? It is very important that we find the proper paperwork in order to understand what is actually taking place and what is actually going on at this present moment in time. This thing is very essential that it's done accurately and produced the right way. So the first entity is, I talked to you the other day, we're just winding the tape down. We're suing the United States President, Donald Trump. And why are we suing Donald Trump? Donald Trump is the president over the administration. He is the president that vetoes things, and he's the president that actually puts things into play, into power. So the native indigenous people, as well as the Moorish empire that resides here, is under the rule of law. If you're not already sovereign, you're under the rule of law of the Constitution. I talked to you once before that this is called assembled jurisdiction. That's what it's called. That means that the paperwork, the legal paperwork that you sign is already in the United States Court of Law. Everything that we're doing comes out of the court of law to us. I'll begin to read some of the documents of what the judges actually say on these things as we go. This is not a topic that I push fast out to you. No, you got to understand what's going on with some of these terms. So some of these terms I'm going to have to stop and break down for you if time permits in certain videos that we have. So in many cases, if you don't see me break it down on YouTube, then I would ask that you go to Facebook and you'll see me break it down on the Facebook pages, also where you see videos that's played. You've been doing a pretty good job as far as tracking it, but you got to be swift. You got to know where to go to get it. And some of you are brilliant people. I got to give it to you. Some of you women and some of you men and some of you Muslims and you Muslimas and your gods and goddess, y'all some brilliant people, man. We come from a brilliant people. I love you. I tell you I do. You continue to propel me and push me. So anyway, we got the United States President, Donald Trump, was number one. And number two, I talked to you about it the other day, was the United States Supreme Court. Because the chattel paper signatures are in the court system. I have them. I have seen them. No one has to tell me about something that I have seen. That's why I'm bringing the proof before. In Islam, we have to bring burhan, or we have to bring dalil. You have to bring your proof to prove something has happened or has not happened. He say or she say don't mean nothing in the court of law. It don't mean nothing. The first thing in the federal court of law, you got to have documents to prove that that took place. Or you're done. Beat it. So now the third nucleus, part of the nucleus, is the United States Congress. It's the United States Congress that has a hold on the chattel paper and slavery papers that we find in the United States of America. And then you have the United States Department of Justice, the Attorney General of the United States, per Title 8, United States Section 1481A and 6. With this particular title, or even with this particular code, you can actually gain your sovereignty, your nationality, through the court system. Now, this is something that we need to know, that your nationality and your state of sovereignty, please hear me real good, it exists before the coming of the Caucasian. So now let me talk to you really good. You were already sovereign in a nationalistic people, practicing your own spiritual religion that is practical throughout the land. We say Islam. But I'm saying you were already that before you were colonized and captured. Our ancestor was captured, colonized, brainwashed, and this idea of sovereignty removed. Now you think really you just have to go through the court of law to get there. Now I'm not saying that's it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying to you that that's a part of the formality if you want to deal with it and get some resources or some indemnification back from the United States government on your behalf of what they have done to you and how they have treated you. But you are already sovereign. Your DNA addresses the issue. My DNA is a DNA Y. It addresses the issue of being a native indigenous person. So when you go before the court of law, the judges have to address that as such. What is his DNA? What is her DNA? How much percentage of that bloodline is of nativity? This is how they weigh it. Your percentage of nativity may not be at the same level or percentage of nativity as mine. Mine may not be as yours. So the percentage, what they do, they cut it and they deliver. And in many cases, if the claim is not a proper claim per DNA, you may not receive anything because you're thinking that you're something and you're not that. Per DNA. It's based upon DNA. It's facts. Today, technology puts you right there. So the fifth part of the nucleus is the Federal Reserve Bank. We talked about that the other day. All of these corporations have built their entities off the backs of our ancestors, and they have created their own corporate system. And that system is a system that has oppressed us for definitely over 400 years here, but for well over 6,000 years. Can you understand that somebody put together a plan to conquer people for well over 6,000 years? I can, because I understand that we come from a conquering people. So they got that from somebody that is original first, but in the likeness of being barbaric in their conquering. How they treated the people is different than our conquering. We have conquered people. We are conquering people. But once we conquer you, we will not treat you as beast, cattle, or anything of that nature. People do get conquered. Worlds fall and new worlds are resurrected. That's a fact on this plane. So when you conquer a people, how you conquer the people is very important to address. What you do to the people. How did you treat the people? Allah watches these things. Just as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching us now as we resurrect and produce the revolution to come back and get our land and get our rights of life that was violated. Life, liberty, your property, your government, violated, taken from you. That's why I talked to you the other day about the 14th Amendment. Due process of what? Life and liberty. It's done. Once it's violated, life and liberty is violated, you have the rights to step before the court and say, hey, man, something went on here, Jack. You got to address this. So now what is the next one? The next one is the Federal Reserve Bank. The sixth one is the Internal Revenue Services and Code. And probably tomorrow we'll continue to read those seals that I have. But I was asked to read this today from about 20 people. And I think I need to continue to read it before time runs out here. But I want you to know the nucleus first. And the seventh one is the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. How did that become that? They built their same corporations off of the backs of slaves too. Who is that? I said number 7 is the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. They built their corporations off the backs of slaves. So these very corporations that we see that's around the United States, all of our ancestors just about has had some blood shedded in these places. And the owners of these places have our history inside of their archives. It needs to be addressed. And it is being addressed now. All praise is due to Allah. So what is the next one? The next one is the officers of Treasury and State. Now we're getting down to the State's Department that is connected into the Federal Department. The Treasury Department. That holds the treasures. The Treasury Department. You know, when you go back and you start studying what took place with the Louisiana Purchase, when the French sold all of the land to the United States, sold our land that they had taken to the United States government. We'll talk about how much that was, how long that took, and what particular landmass did that cover. We'll talk about that too. We got a whole lot of education coming to you. This ain't about no hooping and hollering. That's why I keep challenging you and saying this ain't about no bullshit imams, no bullshit sheikhs, no bullshit ministers, no bullshit teachers. This ain't about none of that, man. And I get real vengeance when I see that because I've seen them for a lot of years, man. That's why I never come in their rule. Ain't none of them my leader. I don't bow to none of them chumps. I rule them. And I challenge them inside of the Deen of Islam. I challenge them in the Arabiya, the Quran, and the Sunnah, and the Fiqh. I challenge them, and I guarantee you I'll conquer them. They won't be able to master me. I didn't grow up under neither one of them. Can't neither one of them come to you and say, well, I'm his imam, I'm his leader, I'm his teacher. They can't tell you that. Allah taught me. That's why I'm dominating their ass. All praise be to Allah, the Lord, cherisher and sustainer of the world. Don't you never tell me that Allah can't raise up a man right before you. Don't you never tell me that. Can't nobody on this planet come to you and say, well, I taught Fizell. Ain't taught me shit. Learned this myself. I tainted myself as a God can do when he want to do it. Or a goddess can do when she want to do it. I tainted myself. Everything I got, I own on my own. Trying to teach you how to become an owner, an obligor. You put your mind to it, you can accomplish it. And don't go blaming no drugs and alcohol and anything that you facing inside of this dude, because I done been through it all. Smoked out, cracked out, drank out, drugged out, all that. You ask people about my history. That's why I'm putting out within hopefully next year, the autobiography, The Rise to Power. You'll find out that I done been through some things, man, that you will say to yourself, my God, how did he make it out of that? I can't explain all of it to you right now. That's why I'm putting it in a book. But for a surety, if you start picking up these books and doing certain things that you're supposed to be doing and listening to fire-ass lectures like this, that's bar none. We build our own temples. We build our own mosques. We build our own centers. We teach our own people. We have our own women. We have our own children. And in many cases, we don't amalgamate the two germs. We just don't. Because we know what's inside the other germ, because we created them as being the gods that produced the Caucasian. The Caucasian come from my loins. And if he and she came from my loins, then I have a right to rule what came from my loins. I told you once before, it's just like the Lord self stepping out of you and you ain't got the power to say, self, sit your ass down and come back in here. You ain't got no power, man. This ain't that day. I didn't come to you like that. I ain't trying to sugarcoat nothing to you. I don't need nothing from you. I love you, though. But I ain't here to try to water something down and get something out of you. I'm getting mine. I got mine already. I'm getting mine. I'm trying to show you how to get yours with me. And I got to agree with you. Most of you are catching on. You're brilliant people. I know that. Just the right person has to come along and give it to you. Like I said, I deal with the streets, man. I ain't up in no high mighty mass or mosque or nothing like that. I do attend mosque and things of that nature. I'm very well known. But I ain't sitting up on no pinnacle. I'm down on the ground, man. I'm 10 toes down and heavy on the ink, Jack. I am 10 toes down on the floor and heavy on the ink, man. Because these people were heavy on the ink when they dealt with you. They were people who contracted things and put you under it. The Constitution. Okay, let's get back to this nucleus, because now we're at the last one, which is the ninth one, which is the state of Illinois, Republic of the United States of America. The state of Illinois and the Republic of the United States of America, the established colonies. And we're well on our way. We're well on our way. This is the right course. This is the right practice. This is the right way to go. And you can only have this kind of fine knowledge down at the base of the Temple of Khuket. This is where it all happens at. This is where the real truth comes out at. This is where the knowledge of the now comes to you from. My people suffering, man. And I ain't going to sugarcoat nothing about getting to my people. And ain't nothing going to get in my way. I can guarantee you that. So here it is that we have now the complaint. The complaint is under the Civil Rights Act, the Federal Tort Claims Act 28, United States Service Section 2671 ET Sec FTCA. Now watch this here now. You can't sue them out of a 42-1983. That is the basic form that you have when you sue somebody on a state or federal level. I would say the federal level more. The 42-1983, you can sue on that with that form on that level. But when it comes to removing, remember this term, when it comes to removing any form of sovereign immunity, then you have to change up your forms and the complaint has to come under another statute. What is the statute at that point coming from a 42-1983 over into what? What is the complaint or the form that I use now to be able to deal with the federal entity or the federal agent or the federal person or personnel who is working for that government or that entity? Is what you have to recognize now that you're dealing with. When you file that, which I filed, when you file that is going to come under a different classifications because you have to remove the sovereign immunity. The judge has to grant you to be able to sue the individual. So you have to remove the sovereign immunity first. I keep saying that. Some of us are sovereign. You can't just touch us how you want to touch us in the court of law. That's why once you find out that you're sovereign and you start to get your rights back and you start to get your liberty and you start to get your 2/5 back that they've taken from you. When you start to get everything back, man, you start committing crime. Because sovereign people don't have to commit crimes because they have everything. You only commit crimes when you're in a certain type of situation. I come from the ghetto. I come from the Greens. The Fizels come from the Greens. I come from 43rd in Lake Park. I graduated from Dr. Martin Luther King Junior High School. I just took you through the high school on Facebook the other day. I come from the no ends of Chicago. And I'm saying these things to you, not as a tough guy, but to allow you to know I am you, man. I've just been blessed enough to make it through. I am you. You are me. This is why when Musa alayhi salam went before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he talked to him face to face, and Musa alayhi salam, or Moses, I should say in the English form, he said, Musa alayhi salam, he asked him, he says, well, who should I tell the people who I am when I go to tell them to let my people go? When I go to Pharaoh to let my people go? He said, tell them that you are who you are. I am who I am. He was representing Allah. He was acting on the behalf of Allah, the Almighty. And if you're not acting on the behalf of Allah, the Almighty, you can't free no people or loose no people, man. You ain't got no power. You need to just go and sit down somewhere, man. You can't free the people like this here. Allah sent me on a mission. Allah is with me, man. And anybody get in the way, then Allah gonna prove that to you. I mean, so this complaint is under the Civil Rights Act, the Federal Tort Claim Act, 28 United States Service Section 2671 ET Sec FTCA. We're putting it on tape so you can get it. The nature of this case is chattel slavery in the United States of America, ETAL, presented before the courts. That's what I've done to address it. This is just not me talking on Facebook and Twitter and doing these certain things to try to promote, oh, I can become great, this, that. I don't need no fame out of none of this. Is a serious issue. It's really serious, man. I have to watch what I do. I have to watch what I say. People can get hurt. People can get killed. Things can happen. And in many cases, if I don't watch what I'm doing, I can be held responsible for that. So I am saying to everyone out there, this is not a radical movement, because movements are dead. This is a revolution. This is not a radical movement. This is not anything that's dealing with terrorism. And this is not violence. We don't have to. If that comes to be, then it is what it is. It's just the will of Allah at that point. But what is my aim and what is my intentions is to educate you on how to regain and reestablish yourselves back into your own land. That is my purpose. We stay equipped to fight or jihad all the way around, man. But the best jihad comes from within to keep yourself from doing anything crazy. That's the best war. That's the best struggle. Keep yourself from doing anything. Don't let nobody put you in no position to do nothing crazy that's going to get you locked up. I just come from the prison world. I done spent many years in prison. And it ain't no fun place to be. And if you ain't coming out like me, if you ain't getting down like me, your ass done. So you got to be very careful of how you preach, how you teach to a people, because some people will take the very thing that you preaching and teaching and turn it into some outright bullshit. Done seen it happen, man. Idiots in a state of jahiliyyah, ignorance. You're going to be held accountable. Because we got people on the ground to deal with you too. If you think you're going to come to this revolution and do anything crazy in it, believe me, I tell you one thing, we deal with ourselves when it comes to that. Got people all the way around us, man. We keep one another. Some people use the term, you police yourself, man. Police yourself. If you start taking care of yourself and guard yourself and be on your square, then ain't no Caucasian got to come and intervene itself in anything we do. We govern our own at that point. I mean. So these are the defendants. I am the plaintiff. I am the petitioner that brings it forth. So in this particular case, we will read off what actually has taken place in this one here. And it reads, we have the seal, the same seal that you see upstairs in the top part of the chamber, the bin, the capstone. There it is again. I show it to you again. It's real. Foul, came to life. It's real. And it's going to score. It's scoring now. I feel great about it every day. The staff and the people will tell you that's around here. Say you're doing a great job. You feel great. You're looking good, sharp, in good health. Ain't nothing wrong with me. Perfect person to fight in your cause. All praise be to Allah. That's why you got to take care of yourself. You got to eat right, man. You got to do the right things to produce at a certain rate or level in which you know that you should be producing at. This is the omnibus, the legal omnibus motion in dealing with the United States of America. The case file number is dealing with the 3/5 clause or the naturalization clause and the classification clause in the courtroom. So we'll begin to read half of this today, and probably tomorrow we'll begin to finish up. I want to keep things in order here, but I also want to talk to you and let you know that you have somebody that's dealing with the legal system right now as well as on the grounds, man. I got some real live brothers that's on the ground, Jack, that's actually working this thing and spreading this thing. That's why we're reaching top numbers within a couple of weeks on Facebook and Twitter and places like this here. We're gonna move and we're gonna start reaching out and attaining some bigger goals here in a minute. Y'all gonna make sure of that because y'all mess with technology that way. So y'all know how to spread it. Y'all know exactly what you're doing. You're geniuses. That's what I'm saying. You say, oh, wow, is he doing that? Well, then what is my role? How can I help him out in that? Why don't I just start pushing a button or two? I know how to push buttons. Let me start typing. That's how this go, man. Everybody ain't on the ground. Some people in the office, some people in planes, some people in the underground. People everywhere. People got certain talents. We got a big old nation, a big old empire, man. Once they start coming together, we can get what we want instantly. It'll manifest kun fire kun instantly. Being it is, it'll come right to you. That's how sharp we are. My job is to unite you. I had a sister, one of the sister gods on Facebook. I usually tap text her back this and forth, and she says the Caucasian has worked just like the colonization of the ants. I said, wow, here she go. And one brother she was dealing with in Facebook, he didn't understand that. So I had to bag her up on what she was saying. She had blew the brother's mind. I say, and that's the reason why they are successful, because they work like ants. She wasn't talking about the nature of it. Wicked, evil, this, that, that. She wasn't talking about that. She said, how do they operate? In Quran and in the biblical scriptures, if you study, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or Yahweh will tell you and show you. He will tell you and he will show you that creation, if you watch it, you can learn from it and operate like it. Because for a surety, certain parts of creation has been here before man. On the plane, not man in his existence, other than this plane. Because there is no beginning and no ending to us. So of the existence of this plane, earth, our earth. And I'm not talking to you about the creation story of this Adam. It's many Adams or Khilafas. And many creation stories that has come about. So what happened? Let's read the legal omnibus motion as I presented it to the courts. I, Sojuris Fizel, the petitioner, who was born under the ex post facto 14th and 15th Amendments of the United States Constitution and the Uniform Commercial Code. The chattel slave name is written in capitalized letters. Richard Dan Fizel. I bring before the Honorable United States Courts as well the United Nations International World Court, a conscious native indigenous God. I'm addressing them as a God. I'm woke now. This ain't no more straw man or straw material that they've created under the Uniform Commercial Code. We'll get into that, more and more into that. This is just a straw material system. This is a straw man system. Ain't no man made out of straw. That's why I don't even use it in the court of law. I say straw material. They addressed it. They said, oh, wow, you're conscious. Don't go in there talking about no straw man material. Ain't no man made out of straw or a bag of straw or a quantity bag of straw. Ain't no man made out of that, man. You don't go before them people talking like that. You go to them people, allow them to know the falsehood that they've created is a bag of material. It's chattel. And they put their whole system on it. That's why it's fraudulent. And that's why it's determined as being ex post de facto. Anything after the Holy Quran in the scriptures that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has laid down in the Torah or the Talmud, in these magnificent books, anything that has been laid down by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the truth. Anything else that comes after that is called ex post de facto. It ain't no good, man. So any kind of law that anybody put on you or deal with you, all of this is ex post de facto we living in. All of it. It ain't no good, man. What is good is the living breath in the living word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that came as a decree for our existence here. All praise be to Allah, man. Anything else other than that is ex post de facto. It is no good. That's why the so-called freedom, the false freedom that Abraham Lincoln gave or was supposed to give in 1863 or in that era, was constituted as him writing on paper to free a people, to falsely free a people from the south up to the north during the case of war. I talked about it before with Great Britain. But that was the law that their president signed. So now when they came back and reconstructed, that's why it's called the Reconstructed period. When the founding forefathers, the Freemasons, came back after 1863, or right in there, and recrafted and redrafted the Constitution, they took away the 20 sections out of the 13th Amendment, put that in the chamber, because that represented the indigenous people and gave them more rights or equal rights to even some of the slave masters who wasn't a higher echelon. So this whole process was a process that took place after the initiative signing of the 13th Amendment, the Emancipation Proclamation. When that was signed by Abraham Lincoln, the slaves were supposed to be freed legally. Well, what they did was went into a period where they transcended or transitioned from that period to a whole nother period, thinking that they were coming out of slavery, but they were going right into another form of slavery, which was called chattel slavery. Because guess what? The Freemasons was down inside of the temple, the base of the temple, at the table of doom, man, reconstructing the 14th and the 15th Amendments, which was, in fact, EXPOST DEFACTO to the 13th Amendment. And no good. Now you ask any scholar, and he'll say, man, the Messiah on point. The 14th and the 15th Amendment, or any amendment after the 13th Amendment, when it comes to addressing the freedom or the liberation of my people, it's EXPOST DEFACTO. It's no good. It's all falsehood, man. It's all falsehood. It's chattel paper. This is chattel slavery that you're living in. It's EXPOST DEFACTO. You're going to learn that word in the court of law. EXPOST DEFACTO means that what came after it, when it was good and right and legal according to their system, it was good, right, and legal what Abraham Lincoln supposedly had done under falsehood or false pretense or fraudulence. But according to them, they disguised it as if he had did a good thing. So his signature was supposed to be a signature that was to be decreed as the law. Anything that came after the 13th Amendment that was not in compliance with that amendment was constituted as EXPOST DEFACTO. EXPOST DEFACTO. That's some hard pill to swallow, ain't it, man? It is no good. Because now they done demonstrated with Abraham Lincoln and knocked him off. He gone. Many people try to see that was a good thing that they did. Wasn't nothing good about it, man. It was all sophistry. You need to learn what that word is, sophistry. That means that I'm going to put something before you, but it ain't going to be real, man. Or I'm going to say something before you, and I'm going to be telling you the truth. But you ain't going to be able to read the signs of what I'm saying. That's called sophistry. Sophistry. Not sorcery. Sophistry. You should say that word, sophistry. That means somebody saying something out their mouth that is not right. That means somebody's doing something that is not right. It's making the real appear unreal. It's making the unreal appear real. Maya. So the legal omnibus motion that I presented addressed the straw material. It's addressing the ex post de facto. What was ex post de facto and what was real? These people said, man, where this man come from, man? And who taught this man? Taught myself by the will of Allah. Allah is real. So now, I bring before the Honorable United States Courts as well the United Nations International World Court, the conscious native indigenous God, who has a sacred and honorable emergency request to the royal courts to enforce my inalienable natural rights of life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness, which is my legal status. What was that legal status, he said? He said it was life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness. Once those are violated, according to the ex post facto 14th and 15th Amendment, still before their courts they honor, once those are violated, your constitutional right of due process and equal protection has been violated. When you deprive, I talked about the deprivation of constitutional right. When you deprive a person of life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness, when you deprive them of their nationality and their creed, that is grounds for retaliation from the person, whether that retaliation may be legally or physically. That person has a right to retaliate in any kind of way he chooses then, because your rights are violated. That you have been deprived of equal opportunity. Once you're deprived of equal opportunity, you're supposed to step up and demonstrate. What are they? Life, liberty, property, the pursuit of happiness, nationality, and creed. Once those are violated, it's war. And guess what? Even the Caucasian knows that. Because the Caucasian was almost subjects to Britain. And guess what they did? They declared their independence, man. They declared their sovereignty. So we ain't a part of that. Y'all ain't finna take us over now. They declared their sovereignty. So every 4th of July, that's what you celebrated. You're celebrating them declaring their sovereignty with Great Britain, because they almost became subjects to Great Britain. Tell me, man. Take that bullshit to somebody else. Don't tell me that. I don't want to hear that garbage. So now you're standing up in the court of law and you're declaring this is the declaration of sovereignty and the inalienable rights of the indigenous people. What's the problem? You did it. Why can't we do it? If it's good for you, then of course it's got to be good for us. Declaring your sovereignty to not become subject to another people. Remember, all persons born or naturalized in the United States are subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. Subject is the word. You're born there. If we naturalize you, that's what's happening. So now, we continue. The proper legal status that I talked to you about the other day is upheld by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What do I mean by that? What is upheld by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Your life has to be respected. Your liberty will be respected. Your property, your domicile, your home, where you come from, will be respected. Your government, that your political atmosphere comes from, will be respected. in your creed, your religion will be respected. Well, let me tell you something. That is constitution. When all of that is respected, you live a beautiful life. Because you got everything. When that is violated, is when you have to step up and say, I got to stand up and fight for myself now. I mean, it's real talk. We're at the base and the bottom of the Kundalini. We're at the Temple of Khuket. We're in the blue room. The dark room, where the blueprints comes out at. And the reason why I say the blue room, because we understand that blue ether, without blue ether, you ain't got no sight. So the color blue is already inside of our senses or our eye pocket or our eyesight to give life that we may be able to see. So now, that is naturally upheld by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is upheld by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? I just told you about the 5. Life, liberty, property, the pursuit of happiness. And it's another one in addition to that. Government, nationality, and creed. You need these, man. Once they violate it, you're done. So now the federal court system as well as the state held